we'll get started.
Well, we're the mask does that too, right? This is me.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Oh.
How you doing? Good.
You're
I
right
like
over
this
there.
I'm gonna actually,
Look at this.
hey, hey,
This is pretty cool.
how are you doing? Here we go.
How's it been? How are you, young man? March, good to see you.
He's gonna talk.
Throwing stuff in my purse.
When was our last in-person meeting?
Same spot, different day.
February, you think? No,
How you doing?
yeah,
Good to see you.
it probably was February because it's March 3rd.
Was it? When was our last
Well,
meeting here?
maybe it was March. I know my last day was like March 13th. My last day to go to the PSO office was March 13th or something. It was like,
February, because we did a blended one in March. I think we broadcast them up from the city in March.
okay.
Rules.
Yes.
So
Are they gonna change the rules again or not?
I feel like they're probably one of the first things the legislature does come back, but I've been wrong.
It is hard to predict.
They're getting lots of opportunity, questions and
All right.
encouragement because the city councils and things like that. Just
Yeah,
sometimes
in
so
some
much-
areas, you got people that I guess would be at risk, and they can't have an alternative spacing like that.
Right.
If you get a large enough board, and you got, like you said, more mature members and
Yep.
stuff like that, they're not bad.
As opposed to the immature members that we have.
From,
Section.
6 feet in your section. You can.
I
All
guess I need to hold
right.
for a
Well, good morning, and thank you all very much for being here in Stillwater for the state board meeting. And we do have quite a few agenda items, so we'll go ahead and jump right in. And if you would, please call the roll.
Estella Hernandez,
Here.
Brian Bobek,
Here.
Jimmy Stallings. Oh, he's not here. Mr. Stewart, Michael Brown,
Here?
Tim Berg,
Here.
Janet Smith,
Here.
Randy Gilbert.
Here.
Thank you.
Do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Where all of the meeting notices posted appropriately. All right, thank you very much. And please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, the salute to the Oklahoma state flag, and a moment of silence. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. Its symbols of peace unite all people. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, I have a few opening comments, and then we'll get into our first action item. Opening comments that I have this morning, again, thank you guys very much for being here in Stillwater and meeting with us in person today so that we could move forward with some of our business that we have. At your table, you have the enjoyment of the rules book. We did mention this in November and had not mailed those out to you, so you are here today, so we will have those available for you to take. We do start the rules process again, so we will be bringing some draft changes to you in the next couple of months. So if you want to read up and be ready, we have you a book prepared. Also, each year we have started, last year they designed a CareerTech calendar that gives various aspects of all of our delivery arms in CareerTech. So your 2021 CareerTech calendar, compliments of our communications and marketing staff and print shop are there on your table as well. And your own personal hand sanitizer from our health occupation student organization, HOSA. And talking about our health occupations, we have had multiple stories in the last few weeks about our nursing programs that are across the state and how they are helping with the vaccinations. So I just want to take a moment to make you aware of that, and then also to say thank you to the technology centers and all the staff out there that are helping in the process. with yet another aspect that we're getting to face as we're moving forward in the environment that we're in now. So great job by all of the schools that are participating. The legislative session kicks off on February the 3rd. We do have our budget hearing for Senate and House next week. We have one on January the 25th at 10:30, and then we have the other one on January the 27th at 10:30. So that will be our outline and opportunity where we talk about what we have done in career and technology education for the last year, what our goals are moving forward. And then our request, our current request is that we be able to maintain the funding we have and move forward. And if there is an opportunity for additional investment, the board also did approve specific areas where investment could be made if funds were available to invest in CareerTech. So we'll be able to presenting that next week. A few other opportunities that we have, our aerospace panel. We had an agriculture education, ag industry panel last month. So we are highlighting an industry every month. If you didn't catch that, it is on our YouTube channel, our CareerTech YouTube channel. But we will have aerospace on February the 4th. We have American Airlines, AAR, and the Oklahoma City complex. We have individuals from those entities and Eddie Compton. They will be presenting, and we'll have those each month, as well as our Oklahoma Educator Industry Partnership piece. That team put together so we could do that each month. And the highlight this month will be HE&W Inc., which is out of Pryor. So it's an industry highlight to continue that partnership with education and industry and connecting them to the classroom. So they will be kicking that off. It is actually January 26th. Anyone is welcome to connect. And the links to log on to those and register are on our website. And then February is CareerTech Month. So we will be sending out information. For us, CareerTech, and I say this every year, CareerTech Month is every month, but nationally it is recognized in February. So we will be doing some additional information, making sure that we are getting out what we get to do in Oklahoma CareerTech. And then we have one last, Oklahoma was, we have one of our technology center superintendents, Linda Fields, who was honored as the winner of the 2021 Baldridge Foundation Award for Leadership Excellence. Tri-County was recognized previously as a Baldridge recipient, and Lyndall was recognized as a Leadership of Excellence Award, which is a high honor and a great reflection of his leadership and the work that's being done at Tri-County and Oklahoma. So I wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that as well. And that concludes my opening comments. So we will move to agenda item 1.05, discussion and vote on minutes of the November 13th, 2020 regular meeting.
Madam Chairman, move for approval. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Berg, a second from Mr. Brown. Any questions?
The only question that I have, and this may be for Mr. Hammond, on the agenda, it says for the regular meeting, but on top of the minutes, it says special meeting.
Yes, it was a special meeting because we did that through Zoom, so we will make that correction. It should have been, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. It was a special meeting because we did that via distance in November. We will make that change.
Thank you.
Mr. Berg and Mr. Brown, do your motions with that change?
Yes, ma'am.
All
Yes.
right. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to recognitions and presentations. Item 2.01, our statewide meat processing program status update and discussion. I will introduce Mr. Greg Bewald, our Skill Centers manager, to give you an overview.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Is this okay? Okay, thank you. Members of the board, Dr. Mack, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all you do for Oklahoma CareerTech. throughout the year and years. I get questions on why meat processing. I get a lot of questions, and I'm going to answer some of those questions to you. So why meat? Well, Oklahoma is a big meat state. We are number 5 in the nation in beef production. We're number 10 in the nation in hog production, and about 26 in poultry production. Unfortunately, most of the beef that is produced in Oklahoma, which is as good a meat as there is anywhere in the world, better than most of it goes out of state to be processed. So we raise it, we sell it, it goes to feedlot, goes to the packer, and they add value to it. And I'll get more into that later. 3.22 billion pounds of meat is produced in Oklahoma every year. And you figure out how much per pound that you want to charge for that to give you the tens of billions of dollars of value that industry has to Oklahoma. We all know what an industrial park looks like. Well, get past the industrial park and keep driving a little bit on the way to Lawton or the way to Shawnee, and you're seeing a big industrial park. You see the hay, you see the cattle, you see the grassland, and we need to think about it that way. The other question I get is, why now? Well, we had a rude awakening with the pandemic and when COVID hit, and you saw on the TV that shelves were empty in the grocery store. And we figured out that we had a severe disruption in the supply chain and that there were weaknesses within that supply chain. That came with some good, because when people couldn't go to the regular store and buy the plastic wrapped meat that people think comes from the store and they don't understand it comes from producers, when they couldn't buy that, they started going to a place like Ralph's Packing down at Perkins or local meat processing plants that had a retail side. And what they determined was it tastes a lot better. It's a whole lot better product. It's fresher, it's not watered down, and they liked it. They're spending more time at home eating better. So the whole piece of the consumer changing their mind or going a different direction has created quite a stir as well. When I was growing up, and Randy, you could probably concur to this, that almost every little town had a small meat processing plant, because we didn't go to Walmart to get our meat. And even if we went to Safeway, they would get hanging beef and they would process it there. The big thing is this idea of value added. We're selling our beef out of state to be processed almost as a commodity, where if we could do more processing in Oklahoma and add value to it, it'd be more money for the producer, more money for the processing, and it just makes sense to keep as much of that in the state as possible. I'll give you, I had a great day the other day with Drummond FFA, and I had some time with their students before we started looking at all their meat processing equipment that they've gotten. And I asked them if they wanted to do meat math, and they just kind of looked at me funny. And I'm not gonna do meat math with you, but I'm gonna tell you the result of the meat math. 1,000-pound cow that didn't have a calf, that's still in pretty good shape, will sell at the sale barn for about 60 to 70 cents a pound. Is that about right? Okay, so you've got, let's say you got $600 that comes back to the beef producer. We buy that. We as CareerTech processors, we buy that, and it costs us about an additional $600 to get it processed. You end up, efficiency, about 60% meat is what you get out of that $600 cow. And then you add the $600, so you got $1,200 The company's got that much in her. So you've got 600 pounds of meat. Not all of it can be used for beef jerky. 200 pounds of it is where you take the trimmings and you make ground beef, and it sells for about $4 a pound. So you do that math. So you end up with 400 pounds of meat that you can convert into beef jerky. Okay, so beef jerky sells for $2.75 an ounce. I buy it. I look all the time. So what these kids and I figured out, that animal as beef jerky is worth $8,800. So that's the value added part. And I don't care if it's manufacturing where you're adding value to steel or plastic, or if it's education where you're adding value to students. It's about value added. Please interrupt anytime if you have questions. The next piece, the question I get is, why CareerTech? And that's the easiest one for me to answer. When this became a deal and we were approached by the Department of Agriculture to help do something about it, CareerTech not only is positioned to do this, but I would tell you that we are uniquely positioned to do this. We have a state system, starting with the board and Dr. Matt, that communicates. We have technology centers, we have comprehensive high schools, ABE, skill centers that I work with directly that can all be a piece of this. We communicate with business and industry. We know how to go to a company and say, what do you need? When do you need it? How do you need it? So through our business and industry services unit and others, we know how to do that. We've done it for years. We have a state office that provides so much support. There's no way we could have pulled this off without an excellent purchasing system. We found out about August 15th that we had gotten a CARES grant through the Department of Ag, and we had until November 30th to get everything purchased and delivered. Now, this is in the middle of a pandemic when everyone else is buying meat processing equipment, freezers, everything that we needed, everyone else did too. So we spent hours. I'm not the only one that spent 12 hours a day and worked weekends to figure out, all right, what do we need? And then turn people loose to buy it. Then our finance division had to get it paid for by by the end of December. So all that happened in about 120 days. We also have others have others within the agency that have specialties that have helped. I'm guessing, if I was just to guess, I would say 50 to 60 unique individuals have been involved in pulling this effort off. We also have craftsmen. Because because of COVID, the skill center business has slowed down and some places stopped, unfortunately. If there's a bright side to that, it's given me time to be the project lead and for me to be able to use skill center instructors who are electricians, plumbers, carpenters to help with the project. So I'm going to say it's easily 60. Just a little bit about the trailer. And I hope you'll come out and see it. It's right here close, and I know you've got phone calls to return, and I know you got places to be, but please come out and take a look. I think you'll be impressed. We started with a 53-foot Great Dane reefer. A reefer is meant for one reason, and that's to keep things cold, right? First thing we had to do was make it ADA compliant. It's 55 inches from the floor to the ground. So we had to make it compliant where we could get a wheelchair in it. We had to have our, it's not meant, a reefer's not meant to get out of. If someone locks you in a reefer, if you've got 45 minutes and enough light to do it, you can work your way out. That was not going to be acceptable. We need something where we can get out. So I spent probably a week with the Great Dane engineers trying to figure out how do we have a panic bar? How can we assure that no one will ever get locked in this trailer? They didn't have a clue. One day I was locking a trailer, and I thought, I got an idea. What if we open this and then close it and lock it open, lock it like you shut it, then it can't go shut. Isn't that right, Randy? That cam is going to hit the door and you can't shut it. So we've done that on the side door that we've got for access, as well as the back door. So at any time, any student, anybody can get out of it because of that standard operating procedure. We'll do it every time. We'll do it today. We'll do it from now on out. And we don't ever put anyone in that trailer without having that locked open. That created another problem. So now we let air out, right? So we had to put up curtains. A reefer is not made, it doesn't have electricity except for 12 volt through the reefer unit. So we've got equipment in there that you will see that takes about 16,000 watts of electricity. So our electrician from the skill centers came in and did that. It's not made to have plumbing. We put a 100-gallon bulk tank underneath the trailer that we had rebuilt in Oklahoma, by the way, at Central State Thermo King. They refabbed it, and we figured out real quick that 100 gallons of water isn't very much. So we built another trailer, a plumbing trailer with a 300-gallon tank that we can pull over there beside it, empty it, and then take it and dump it. We didn't want to move that big trailer every time we wanted to dump water anyway, so it made sense. Then we had to have a companion trailer because some places that we go, and we will go to tech centers, we'll go to high schools, we'll go to tribes, currently in conversation with Cheyenne Arapaho. We've already set up to go to skill centers. Yes, we will take that behind the fence and let inmates use knives. We've done it before. This isn't our first rodeo. We had a meat processing plant at Jackie Brannon. That's another story, and I won't go into it because it'll take too much time.
Greg, if you don't, I'm not sure I'm following of what are you doing? What are you training them to do on the trailer?
We've got
To actually process as an individual or to go work in a manufacturing, or I think I
Okay,
missed the big picture.
It is the hands-on piece. We have tables, and you'll see when you walk through, and we've got a big bandsaw, we've got slicers, we've got grinders, we've got mixers, we've got stuffers, we've got packaging equipment, and we're going to do the whole thing. And depending on who wants it and why they want it, they just may want to do the value-added piece. They just may want to do jerky and sausage and things like that. But all that is available. We will not do or cannot do slaughter ourselves. That is just, that's something that it'd take a whole different trailer and it's a whole different set of skills. But we will partner with Eastern Oklahoma State University at Wilburton, Oklahoma State University here, and Panhandle State University out at Goodwill. And we will, if some of our students need the processing in, we will send them there. But it's a turnkey system where anything that happens in a processing plant or in a store, say Crest Foods. Crest Foods has 8 stores in Oklahoma City. Each of them have a meat market that's about 100 yards long, 35 employees for each store, and there are all these jobs. They have, by and large, maybe 3 or 4 butchers, the ones that's actually cutting the meat, but they also have packaging people, grinding people, stocking people. So all those skills can be taught right out of this trailer. So it's going to be heavily dependent on who needs what and when they need it.
Thank you.
Okay. I hope you come out and look. Yes, Randy. Mr. Gilbert, I'm sorry.
Mr. Dewald, that's my understanding
Yeah.
that you and your crew were down at Gordon Cooper Technology Center the other day and met the Secretary of Agriculture and the Chairman of the Agriculture House Committee and it was very impressive. I was unable to attend, but kind of the feedback from them was it was very impressive and it was very well done, and they were excited, and they thought your equipment was very good and very workable and a great training tool. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you for that. And it was a great time. I'll tell you just kind of a little bit of scope. Originally, 11 high school ag programs, teachers raised their hand that they were interested in receiving some equipment and some help. We have 3 technology centers that Gordon Cooper, Northwest at Fairview, and Tri-County at Bartlesville have all gotten some equipment, are going to start working with their industries. And then I'm hoping to put it in 4 or 5 skill centers as we go. You know, we know this probably isn't the end, but it ought to be a very good beginning. And when we start taking this monster around the state and as a moving billboard, and people start seeing what we can do and how we can do it, I think it's just going to get more traction and more traction and more traction. So that's why, yes, Tim. Mr. Bird.
It's okay. Tim's good. I've been called a lot worse. Can you tell us what the total expenditure was of setting the trailer up?
Of the trailer or everything?
Everything, whole ball of wax.
$1 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to get spent. Now, you know, you think about $1 million, you know, you can't go do very much with brick and mortar and equipment for $1 million. And even if you do the brick and mortar piece, you cannot serve the whole state, you know. So we thought it made sense to take the fire to the wood instead of the wood to the fire. Great question.
And you go and stay, how did the arrangements work? You go for a period of time or?
Yes, we deliver the trailer, and this is going to look like a harvest crew or a carnival going down the road, because we've got the big trailer and 2 small trailers, and we'll take it there, we'll set it up, and then we'll train their people how to use it. And we'll have an estimate of about how long it's going to take to do that, depending on the curriculum modules that they want to teach. The teacher will be, so far, and we've got great response from this, we are members of the Oklahoma-Texas Meat Processors Association, and we will use their membership, their local processing people, to teach. So it's not like we're going to have a teacher that follows the trailer. We're going to buy meat locally, primarily boxed meat that we'll buy locally. We're not going to go to a big wholesaler. Now, it may have come from a big wholesaler, but we want to buy meat at Ralph's or at Ray's, or so they know we're a partner and that we're providing them a workforce. And we think that's an important part of it. Right now, we've got 6 sites that are waiting on the trailer. We're going to start probably in about 2 weeks to a month at Tallahassee, and then go to Colgate, and then go to Atoka, and then go to Poto, and then go to Northwest, and then back to Gordon Cooper, back to the Cheyenne Arapahoes. So it's catching some traction. Yes.
And it's how long there? I'm sorry.
It depends on what modules. If they want to go through the whole thing, it may be there for as long as a month.
A month? Okay.
If they want to go just do the value added piece or just the packaging piece, it could be there for 3 days.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you explain the cost to a CareerTech, or and maybe each CareerTech has their own fees for a student who wants to take that customized training, or a business one? Can you go through any of that so I have a better example of what that might cost a specific area, knowing that it could be beef and swine and poultry, which would elongate costs based upon the time?
Yeah. And I've spent some time thinking about that, and I need to have a good conversation with Dr. Mack, because the schools are asking that. And so do you figure it, I talked to John Thorpe with the truck driver training at Drumright, who donated us, by the way, a 2015 Freightliner that's going to pull this trailer. You'll see it out there. But I asked him, what's our cost going to be? And he said, you can figure roughly $1 a mile. I don't know if we're going to pass that on to the school. I know that there's going to be some wear and tear and some maintenance and some consumables. We haven't all figured all that out yet, but we've been pretty busy buying and assembling. But when we do, we'll have a pretty good idea on how much of that we pass off to the school and how much of that we just absorb, depending on budgets and things like that. Is that kind of right, Dr. Mack?
And for what is customized, primarily you're going to see that at the technology center. So on average, we would look at that like they would charge for a customized program now, and how that's built into it. And also, we have 11 agriculture education programs right now that have equipment, just like what you're going to see in this trailer. They have a full setup. That is free to any of those students who are in those ag programs. We will have a group here this afternoon. We received a call yesterday that the governor is going to come by for a little bit and look at the trailer. He will be in the area, so we have about 30 minutes. He's going to come by and look at it. And we will have some of the students here who have already obtained their online certification that we launched in July. They have already obtained that, and so they are ready for the hands-on piece. And so it does vary across the board. If what you see is the customized rate at a technology center, whether they're doing CNC or whether it's any other training they might have, that will be how this pricing will go, so that we are making sure that we're able to maintain the trailer where it has to be for safety and all those particular things, and be able to provide a quality instructor and make sure we're meeting those marks, and the certification piece. That's a part of it as well. So it will vary depending on where it's delivered.
I thought that welding programs were expensive because of buying metal and all the consumables goes with that. I've done a lot of research. Google is my friend. And a box, an 85-pound box of rib lip-on that you make prime rib or ribeye steaks or all that with is about $485. So we've done everything we can to figure out a way for that not to be a throwaway product. And I think we've kind of jumped that hurdle. The ag programs, the programs in technology centers can, through the Department of Health, get a retail license. So they can take that, add value to it, and actually, make money to offset some other things. It's kind of weird, but the Department of Health will issue us a food truck license, so we could also sell from
So you think we'll see any CareerTech jerky soon?
I can promise you'll probably see some Strother jerkies and Drumright FFA jerkies. Yeah, I think you will very soon.
Of the schools, you mentioned there are 11 that have the ag training. Are those 11 the only ones who will have access to that, or are there other schools?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Of the 11 schools that
Of
have.
the 11 agriculture education programs that got equipment, those were the ones who, when we asked who was interested, those were the ones who volunteered to be a part of the first round. Any agriculture education program, any family and consumer science program, STEM program, any CareerTech program across the state has access. They have access to the online curriculum. They have access to the trailer. We also, some of the equipment that is at the other agriculture education programs in their area, they're talking about how they share that. So if I am on the packing module, then, and I'm done with that, then we can share it with this program over here. If they have multiple CareerTech programs within that school district, family and consumer science may bring in their students to go through, whether it be food safety, consumer items on that. Yes, it is just not to the 11 that currently have it. We want to continue to do it. And another variable to it, with the lottery funds that the board determined multiple years ago that 45% was to K-12, 45% to technology centers. We already have some of our other programs who are going to look to apply for lottery funds to be able to get some of the specialty equipment so it can complement their curriculum. So their location, our target for this was not that someone's location would limit them to this educational opportunity. Again, the mobile trailer that Greg talks about, that's why we want to make sure we could take this where the students are at. And
The other thing we expect to happen is that everywhere we take the trailer will be noticeable, and we'll also do a meat consumer awareness. And it may be of an evening, and it may be for whoever the food purchaser is, because it can be confusing. You know, grass-fed, corn finished, organic, antibiotic free, all this stuff is a little confusing to the consumer. Consumers want to know now where that calf was born. They want to be able to follow that chain. And so I think it's important that, and maybe almost as important as what the rest of we do, is to educate Oklahoma consumers about Oklahoma beef, Oklahoma pork, where they can get it, why it might cost a little more, because it's a better product, a fresher product. And so that's another ancillary piece that we hope to do as well.
Is there a reason why there aren't more processing plants in Oklahoma?
Absolutely.
And they moved out of state, or?
A lot of reasons. One is economies of scale. Back when there were a lot, a truck would come by and get the hides and give you $40 a piece for the hides. Now you have to pay to have the hides removed. The same way with the offal. In a beef animal, every spine has to be taken out and incinerated in a certified incinerator. So it is problematic. And that's why the little guys, Rouse Packing, did custom slaughter for 50 years and finally had to get out of that end of the business. And so with working with the Department of Ag and trying to figure out, and like I say, Becky told me I had 5 minutes. I told her, well, tell me I've got 2 and I'll finish when I'm done. But one of the things that I think can be valuable that we learned from Oregon, Oregon has producer co-ops, meat producer co-ops, where the truck that does the harvesting, the slaughter, comes out to Randy's place, who has 15 head ready to go, and they do that part of them, and then take them to the big co-op processing plant, where they process it to Randy's specifications. It's USDA approved, so that can be shipped online, sold it to anybody. So the idea of bringing producers together in some sort of cooperative way to help themselves makes some pretty good sense.
The thought about training these young individuals, or training people to be in the processing business, or to be able to work for a processing company, just to kind of, some of you may know, but just to let you know kind of the urgency and the thought of this is, I talked to a friend of mine at Moreland the other day, and he had an appointment for a couple of calves to be butchered in Woodward, harvested in Woodward, and he had a couple more that he wanted to add to that, and their first available date to harvest a beef animal was in April of 22.
That animal hasn't even been born yet.
The animal has not even been born yet. I use a company in Edmond, and I had we had an issue with a heifer. So I called and said, if I have a problem, can I bring one up to butcher? And I've used this company for about 12 years now. their first available appointment was August of 22. So those animals are not born yet. So that shows the urgency, whether it was a pandemic that kind of brought this back to the top. But I mean, that's a great program. And we as cattle producers or animal producers in the state of Oklahoma certainly appreciate what CareerTech's doing.
You gonna go to the trailer then and
I am.
and do
am.
start your own business?
Did you
Get some
bring it with you?
And the piece to it, and I know Greg mentioned it, but it is a true partnership. Every aspect of what we've done, we've talked to the industry people to make sure, is this what our students would see? Is this the right, even brand? Is this the right outline that we have? And we're very fortunate. We would not have had a seat at the table if the Department of Ag hadn't asked, how can we help address this? So we're very fortunate that we were given an opportunity to answer the call to meet this demand. And we have in a very timely manner, and Mr. Dewald has led that charge. And there are some neat things that I'm certain if you would have asked him in May or June, some of the questions about it, he may not have been as knowledgeable as he is today. But just so we share his knowledge a little funny, we do have a manager's meeting every Thursday. And so there is a meat lesson that we have added to a little trivia to our managers meeting to make that awareness piece, not only for our students that are in the program, but the consumer awareness and the education about agriculture in the state of Oklahoma and all the different avenues. So we're very fortunate that we're asked to be at the table with the Department of Ag and allowing us to help be a part of the solution for this industry. And Mr. Dewald and many people here at the agency have stepped up and helped us get to that end game. So I do hope you have time to check out the trailer and look at it. It's pretty amazing.
Good stuff.
Last question for you. Do we have other states that have done this? Or
I'm sorry, I can't hear you
do we
very
have
well.
other
I can't read
states
your
that have
lips.
also done this? Do we have other states? Are there other states across the country that have done this similar model, or are we the first?
This is the only and the first of
Pretty
this
awesome.
this kind. Now, there are some modular units, but they're nothing like this. They're not, they can't be responsive. They can't go down the road. They can't be, I could have this trailer in Shawnee ready to go in 2 hours.
Randy would like that to see that take place. He's waiting until the fall of 22. I think it's, and not to take away any thunder from what you and the agency has done, I think it's important that our friends sitting here in the room did something many from Pioneer, did something many years ago with the manufacturing education training system. And we talked then with everybody about how could we do more and more of these mobile trailers and roll them all, whether it was nursing, whether it was food processing, whatever it may be. So kudos to those guys for doing, but kudos for you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. And we have mobile welding trailer. We have
Yeah.
mobile welding. You've seen the construction trailer.
Got a
And
culinary
it
thing.
is, forget about bricks and mortar for a while. That's all fine and good, but that's not going to meet all of our needs. Mr. Bobak, did you have a question?
No, sir. I just appreciate the work. I'm a big fan of the work you've done at Skill Centers. Obviously, good to see you this morning and love this. Hopefully the budget that's going before the state legislators has a line item in there to help continue to support this program. So I'm sure I don't remember offhand when we reviewed it, but where this fell.
This would fall into the program assistance piece where we listed our K-12 of our programs that we have that want to add unfunded. Right now, we have 97 on a wait list to not just for meat processing, but it is 97 in our K-12 from STEM to agriculture education, family and consumer science, and business information technology marketing. We do have 97 on a wait list. Some of those are full-time, some of those are switching from half to full, and then some of those would just be a half-time, but we do have demand out there for CareerTech programs. That was one piece, and then we also had the part that you approved as well, approximately 6.2 billion, that would be nice,
Wow.
million difference between an M and a B, right, Lisa? 6.2 million for customized training, program assistance, and those particular things for technology centers and our skill centers. So
Awesome.
if we can get some of that investment, not only would we have an opportunity for meat processing, but we would have an opportunity for our other programs as well.
Thank you very much. One small last piece, and I should have said it before, but the graphics that you see on the trailer and on all of our trailers and on the tractor were designed, printed, and installed by our own print shop.
Beautiful.
So it's just, that's the kind of help that we get from each other. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you at the trailer.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Since moving on to item 3.01, our mid-year review and discussion, usually we have this conversation in December, but since we did not have a meeting in December, I just want to take a few minutes to go through the activities that transpired from September to December so that you kind of have a recap of where we're at. And then we do a recap again in June. So just a few things that we do have happening. You want to? Okay, I'll just hold it up and we'll pretend I clicked. Is that be good? Okay. So we do have some new employees. Here's a list of some of our areas of new employees that have joined our staff. A later agenda item, we will ratify some of these on your list. But Russell, you have met Russell, our Chief Communications Officer. Many of the ones that you see up here are working in various areas. I just wanted to make you aware of individuals who have joined our team. And on the next slide, you will see that some of our positions, we did have some internal promotions, transitions of individuals filling roles as people would retire or move to different positions. We have had some of our employees step up into those manager roles for us and keep moving forward. And then, as I mentioned on the next slide, we do have some retirements. We had employees who have retired, and then we do have 2 more retirements in the first week of February of Jackie and Rick. All of them that you see up here have been members of our CareerTech family for many years, provided great service to the system and to us here at the agency. And so we did a virtual brand ceremony and provided them with a CareerTech brand in appreciation for their work. But those are the retirements that we have had in the first from June to December. In the next slide, as we look at some of our main projects, and Russell and his team did put out some specific information and media releases on our virtual job shadow, which was launched the end of August, first part of September. And the whole reason for our virtual job shadow, work-based learning is a component of the individualized career academic plan. It's a piece of that, it's a requirement to it. The conversation that we had with school districts is, how do we make that happen? In the environment that we're currently in, how can we still have our students have an experience? So Dr. Aragon in professional development took the lead in this project, and it was launched. We put out the RFP. We asked for schools to volunteer. We wanted the schools to test it to make sure it actually was what they needed in their classroom. And we had 20 districts sign on. By December, we had over 16,000 users, and we do have requests to add additional users. So it is a tool that we will continue and offer to the schools if they want to utilize that. And we'll continue to be able to look at the areas for which they looked at the various occupations across the state. And Ms. Hernandez, this is to your point as well. It will not depend on where the student is at, on what industry they can explore. They have the opportunity to explore industries from right where they are. So we're very excited about this project that was launched in the fall. Another area that we worked on on the next slide, Sharon Baker in our career and academic connections area, specifically recruitment, as we look at making sure that we are connecting with each and every student. Sharon has a group in working with the SREB partnership that we have in working with recruiters on what is the best way to connect with students. How do we educate students about career and technology education? And so she put together a 6-session series, many speakers at each of the sessions to talk about industry, to talk about connecting with students. And so that was a project that started this fall as well. And the feedback thus far from not only the attendees, but the presenters and our partner at SREB are great feedback in being able to offer that. On the next slide, a couple of other areas. We talk about partnerships a lot. It's core to who we are. We will not get where we need to be without our partners. In our assessment division, Jennifer Palacio has worked diligently to bring on new partnerships with the Oklahoma Veterinary Medicine Association, offering an exam for them, and then also the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. So great partnership where we can provide assessment for those. And then there is an example of some of the other partnerships that we have through the assessment division that we are partnering with other agencies, helping them meet their end goals as well. And on the next slide, also at a local level, what we get to do for our schools, some competency certificates that we have added. Industry credentials is a measurement that we use for our follow-up. It is what we hang our hat on, making sure that we're aligning with industry, and so making those tests available. And you can see our testing sites, exams, and some of our updated information for the first half of the year. And there was much concern about students not being able to test, not being able to have access during this time period, and Jennifer and her team have made that happen. On the next slide, professional development. Through this opportunity and the professional development staff, which is, you can see their names down there at the bottom, and now is currently led by Becky. They have put together various areas and various curriculum, not only for our staff, but for schools, and also made that available online in a learning management system that the schools can utilize not only for what we provide, but they can upload their own professional development. So just trying to adapt and adjust as we're handed various challenges. And that team has stepped up and made sure that we can still provide the professional development that educators need and to help them be successful in their job. And then the next piece, we have each in the June meeting and also in December, we recognize staff. They are nominated by other staff, and I want to take a minute to make sure that the board knows the staff members who have received these awards, and just to reiterate the high quality of staff that we have here at the agency, even for those who may not have gotten an award this time. Our staff has stepped up above and beyond to continue to move things forward. And here are a few examples of the staff who were nominated from their peers to be recognized. Andra and Tammy for customer service. And then above and beyond for specific projects. Kyla works in our STEM area. Paxton is the BMIT, Business Management, Information Technology, Education, and DECA State Advisor, and has hosted multiple online conferences. So Paxton, and then Mr. Dewald as well for his work with meat processing. On our next group, Leadership and Excellence Awards this year, Jessica Ventress in accreditation, Jennifer Palacio in assessment, and then Tanya Norwood, who is our Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Manager. We also have some team awards, our education partnerships and customized services, launching the online and virtual OEIP. Gina which was our manager, was recognized in June for her leadership in that. And then her team was recognized as a team award. Our next team award that you'll see on the slide, on the next slide, is for our master educator, where I mentioned the professional development. This is the team that helped make that happen. So we're very grateful for that. The next team that was recognized, Greg mentioned the artwork, mentioned the graphics, the things that are put on the trailer. If any of you drove by our entrance over here on the south side, if you noticed the little blue out there in design, the individuals that you see here made that happen. Gunnar designed it all. Our print shop staff printed it, installed it. We are going to be doing some more on the front entrance as well. And we can do that for our customers. So what better way to showcase their work that they do? So that's the team that made that happen. And then on the next slide, Becky and Melissa were recognized for their work and partnership in helping through human resources. I know it's hard to believe that we've had a few opportunities arrive in human resources as we went through the pandemic. But Becky and Melissa were recognized for their work and constant effort as we make sure that we are taking care of our staff and taking care of our individuals as we work through this pandemic. So on the next slide, here's the window. If you happen to not see it when you drove by, here's a picture of the window that they designed and installed, and at the south doors. And on the next slide, this is a picture. Greg did mention those trailers. That's a picture of the mobile trailer, the big trailer, hopefully, that you'll get to see in. The reason that I did put these pictures up here is we have some individuals that may be viewing online today that heard a lot about this meat processing lab and they aren't being able to visually see it. We wanted to share visuals with them as well. And as Greg mentioned, none of this would move down the road if we did not have the donation from Central Technology Center. And you see the truck there. John Thorpe at Central Tech Truck Driver Training has been instrumental in helping us make this happen. Whenever we have a question, we can call John anytime. I'm sure he's probably going to block us at some point, but he still answers our call. He's been exceptional to help us through this process, and their donation from the Central Tech Board to the agency, we would not have a complete unit without them. And the next few slides, Blaine, if you just want to click through those a little bit. This is the trailer that you're going to walk through. And that's the inside of the lab. The last piece that I have, we try to make sure that, as I mentioned, making sure that we're taking care of our employees. I just want to highlight the work and how our employees give back. We did have our fall walk challenge. So almost a little over 2,300 miles our staff put in our walk challenge, which inspired us. We had 2 teams that entered the virtual OKC marathon. You'll see a picture of us up there with that. So we were very excited to participate. And then our annual United Way fundraiser, we set a goal this year for 15,000. Because of other things going on, we thought 15,000 was a reasonable goal. And just like always, our staff went well above and beyond, and we raised over $20,000 to give to United Way to support Payne County. And our chair for that was Justin, Dr. Lockwood, but he gives the credit and everything to Connie Lewis, who helped coordinate and make things move forward for that. A lot of team effort, a lot of individuals stepping up and make that happen. A few fun days that we had in November, sponsored by Human Resources and Employees Association. And then the last piece, when we talk about giving back, our Employees Association, usually we have our luncheon, and Mr. Bovek joined us last year for our luncheon, where all of our staff gets to come in. We get to talk about our goals and objectives, but the best part about that is we get to have some fellowship and see each other. This year, we were unable to do that, so the Employees Association usually pays for that lunch. So this year, what they did is they offered staff, employee members, a turkey or a ham. and that were delivered, or they could pick those up. For those that didn't want a turkey or ham, they could donate those. So we did make a donation of $675 in lieu of ham or turkey to the Our Daily Bread here in Stillwater. And then we were also, Employees Association were able to provide some families with ham and turkey as well. So just some employee highlights, making sure that we're taking care of each other, and little fun pics that you see there, but very grateful for the work of our staff on all levels. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right, no questions. Okay, we will jump right into management action items. On 4.01, discussion and vote on mid-year personnel report and ratification of personnel actions from July 1, 2020, December 31, 2020. You will find that document in your packet, and I will ask Melissa, who is joining us virtually, the floor is yours, Melissa.
Okay, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, very well.
Very well.
Excellent. Okay. This morning I'd like to present to you our semi-annual personnel report. This represents all personnel actions that have taken place for pay bands below 14. It'll have everything from our appointments, promotions, resignations, retirements. And then, as you know, each month we bring you any actions that are at pay band 14 or above each month.
Are there any questions for Melissa?
Madam Chairman, move for approval of the mid-year personnel report and ratification of the personnel actions from July 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Byrd and a second from Ms. Smith. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Ms. Hernandez. Yes. Mr. Bobeck.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Byrd.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. Discussion and vote on full post-secondary accreditation. Dr. Lockwood, who is joining us virtually, will do those presentations. The first one that we will have today is for Pioneer Technology Center School District number 13 in Ponca City. And I would like to recognize that we do have staff here today from Pioneer Tech. We have Tracy Thorpe, that is the superintendent, Molly Kyler, and Kale Goff are also at Pioneer Tech. So they have joined us today. So Dr. Lockwood, the floor is yours for Pioneer Technology Center accreditation.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. On September 23rd and 24th, the Accreditation Division conducted an on-site accreditation review at Pioneer Technology Center in Ponca City, Oklahoma. The examiner team comprised of 29 examiners and ODCTE staff, including 13 examiners from technology centers. During the virtual and on-site review, examiners interviewed 35 stakeholders in various manners, including individual settings and in small groups. These stakeholders included business and industry representatives, community leaders, partner school administrators, and teachers and parents of students attending the Technology Center. Examiners also interviewed Technology Center administrators, certified and support staff, and students. The examiners evaluated all aspects of the Technology Center's operations using the quality standards approved by this board and listed in the accreditation guidelines published by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education. These standards address leadership and administration, instruction and training, support services, measurements and analysis, personnel, operations, and system impact. We recommend that the board grant full accreditation status to Pioneer Technology Center. If approved, the Technology Center will have 90 days to submit an action plan addressing one opportunity for improvement identified in the report for each of the 6 quality standards. Agency staff will monitor progress towards completion of these continuous improvement action plans and provide technical assistance as needed. Are there any questions?
Just looking through your, on page 45, the opportunities, are there any comments you wanted to make about that for us? Not saying there should be, I'm just asking if you have any comments for us.
You may have to pull your mic closer.
I beg your pardon. Can you hear me?
Al, I can barely hear you.
On page 45 and 46, under opportunities, do you have any comments for us in regards to those that your team listed?
I don't have the report in front of me because I'm sitting here on a computer and did not bring one when I was sent to telework. And so I did not bring a report home. And if I pull it up on my computer, I will lose you. So if you mention what that is, I'll be happy to comment on it.
And since Dr. Lockwood and I are tag teaming and I do have the report here, Mr. Bobeck, on your point for the opportunities for improvement, each of these areas that are listed here are minor procedural pieces that were just brought to the attention to the school as recommendations of areas that could be improved, but they are not substantial in nature and do not impact the positive approval and recommendation for them to be accredited. So those, as our team does on a regular basis in each of the areas, we try to make sure that we provide the schools with areas that the examiners mentioned that might be ways that they could look at strengthening in each of those objectives. So there were no substantial findings in any of these. They were just recommendations of potential areas that the school may want to evaluate for improvement.
Very good, thank you.
I mean, obviously, it was an excellent report, and we do tend to always go to the ones of, oh, what's to improve, but I mean, the exceeds expectations on a number of the things, so congratulations on that. I always like to say, and maybe it's premature, but is there anything you'd like to say for feedback for the board of how the process is, or in anything you want to say? I guess feedback is always appreciated.
For letting us come and share with you. This is our second of the new type of accreditation process. We were a ball bridge school in 2015, and then we got participated in the hybrid version this year. And it's been a very beneficial process both times. It allows us to use a different lens when we're looking at the accreditation process, and it blends really well with our continuous improvement efforts. And on the whole, I think that it is beneficial and allows us to not only look at how we do what we do at Pioneer Tech, but allows us to analyze the results that show this is how it is working, or this is a gap that we might need to address. So, the opportunities for improvement, a lot of them, as we looked at the list, were items that we identified as gaps as we were working through our accreditation process. Some of them we were addressing or had already addressed before the examiners pinpointed those, and some of them have been addressed since our accreditation because they were simple fixes. So, like we said, in 2015, it was healthy for us. It was very beneficial. I think we felt the same way this go around. We have learned things as we've progressed each time. And, it's interesting, from 2015 to 2020, we had an accreditation lens on, and we identified things along the way that we knew might come up with the next accreditation. So we were better prepared. So I appreciate the efforts of the accreditation team. They were wonderful, very gracious to work with us. Throwing together a virtual event right before we were ready to schedule our days. And it worked very well, despite, some minor challenges. We were the first to go around for the virtual group, and I think it went very well. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, unless there are any other questions, I would move for approval of full post-secondary accreditation for Pioneer Technology Center, District Number 13 in Ponca City, Oklahoma.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Berg and a second from Ms. Hernandez. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Berg,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right. Dr. Lockwood, please present on Red River Technology Center School District number 19, post-secondary accreditation.
Thank you. On October 13th through 15th, the accreditation team conducted an on-site accreditation review at Red River Technology Center in Duncan, Oklahoma. The examiner team comprised 28 examiners and ODCTE staff, including 12 examiners from technology centers. During the review, the examiners interviewed 18 stakeholders in various manners, including individual settings and in small groups. These stakeholders included the business and industry representatives, community leaders, partner school administrators, and teachers and parents of students attending the technology center. Examiners also interviewed technology center administrators, certified and support staff, and students. The examiners evaluated all aspects of the technology center's operations using the quality standards approved by this board and listed in the accreditation guidelines published by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education. These standards address the leadership and administration, instruction and training, support services, measurements and analysis, personnel, operations, and system impact. We recommend the board grant full accreditation status to Red River Technology Center. If approved, the Technology Center will have 90 days to submit an action plan addressing one opportunity for improvement identified in the report for each of the 6 quality standards. Agency staff will monitor progress towards the completion of these continuous improvement actions. Are there any questions? And I can remotely, we are barely hearing you today. So if there are any questions, I will try to hear them.
And I would like to introduce, we do have 2 individuals from Red River with us today. We have the superintendent, Dennis Lopeman, and also Brooke Holden. So we are grateful that both schools had the opportunity to join us today. We're
You
happy
had a
to-
drive today or yesterday or
we are happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do they care to say anything?
Mr. Lopeman, would you care to say anything?
Mr. Berg, I always count on you for lots of questions. Are you slipping with the?
I would also like to echo what Tracy said. This is my 3rd different type of accreditation to go through. I believe it's probably the most meaningful for us. I did appreciate the civil rights compliance portion being brought back in. Not that we don't feel like we do most things right, but if we're not, we certainly would rather learn it from friends than from those that might not be at that point in time. So that was a meaningful part. I thought that the way that the agency adapted and our staff to make the virtual blend happen this year was good. And I certainly appreciated the questions and conversations that allowed us some input. In case you're not aware, and I know you are, there are several different size career techs and the needs of the communities are all unique. So I felt like there was a good opportunity to explain maybe why we do or do not have a certain process in place that might be different than another career tech. And I think that helps us all understand one another better. And we get some input maybe from someone from a larger or smaller school, and we gain from that. So I think that's where we all grow. You learn differences and try to work on that and improve. Certainly, we want to try to improve each day. I imagine you all are exactly the same way where you're at. So very good process. We look forward to getting to work. Some of the things we were already pretty far along with on what we were doing. Although you don't see it, I mean, we know we were working on the process, and you'll see several that we've already completed at this point. We look forward to continuing on others, but we also like the extra set of eyes helping us see things that we could do better. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopeman.
Thanks for joining us, y'all, both groups.
Madam Chairman, unless there are any questions, I would move for approval of full post-secondary accreditation for Red River Technology School District number 19 in Duncan, Oklahoma.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Berg and a second from Mr. Brown. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. And congratulations to both of our schools, Pioneer Technology Center and Red River, for obtaining your post-secondary accreditation. And thank you for going first. So not everybody, in some instances, not everybody likes to go first, and we greatly appreciate them.
Going first during a pandemic.
Exactly,
That gets you to get a little asterisk by it.
exactly, exactly.
Or a big asterisk.
Item 4.03, proposed executive session to discuss hiring an accreditation manager.
Madam Chairman, move for approval to convene into executive session.
I have a motion from Mr. Byrd to convene an executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Bobeck and Mr. Brown. Any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. We will now convene in executive session. The video and microphones will be disabled during our executive session, and then we will come back live after we are finished with the executive session. And I would ask that Mr. Hammond be able to join us in executive session.
Can we take our mask off in executive session?
We may have to be heard because
Right.
I should have put on a thinner one. I didn't realize how much, I know it's hard. Do I have a motion to return from executive session?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Byrd and a second from Mr. Brown to return from executive session. Any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I would make a motion to move for the approval of hiring of Jessica Ventris as the accreditation manager, effective date February the 1st of 2021.
I have a motion from Mr. Byrd. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Bobeck. Any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. So congratulations to Jessica in being the accreditation manager, and thank you, board members, for that. Is there any new business?
One question. Will we be able to go back to virtual meetings, or are we going to be doing this in the future?
So currently, until there is legislative action to allow for virtual meetings to transpire, we will meet in person. We will be required to have a quorum in person to conduct our meetings.
So planning on trying to still have them here?
Depending on the State Department of Education, they're redoing their room. And so depending on if that room is ready, or if we need to find a location in Oklahoma City where we can social distance and still meet in person, I would like to utilize our facility here if we are not able to use the State Department of Education. But that does depend as well on board members being able to travel to Stillwater. But we love having you here at the state agency so that our employees have an opportunity to talk with you for a little bit that may not get to see you when we're in Oklahoma City. So we do enjoy having you here. And until we're able to, if virtual is an option through the legislature, we will make sure that we meet in a room large enough to where we can all social distance and conduct our meetings in person.
Well, I enjoy being here as well, but I think about those folks that have to drive from far distances, whether it be Mr. Stewart or Mr. Brown. And so some consideration for that. If we
Yes.
can get back to a central area somewhere that, again, nothing wrong with being here, but to consideration of their travel time as well and Janet's as well, but make it a little bit easier.
We have a big room in Lawton.
That's right. And we have been to Lawton.
That was the
We're
opposite of
offering it
what I
up,
was
man.
considering.
We have been to
That's an
Lawton.
easy deal, man.
Yeah, right?
You know, we should, Marcy, we should consider doing like a road show, going maybe to Tulsa Tech one time and then go someplace.
Maybe we can get a
Maybe
big.
We have been trying to
Woodward,
do
whatever.
one a year, right?
Just
typically.
kind
Yeah,
of move around a
we-
little bit.
That
We
is,
tried to do that.
we had tried, November was usually our designated month to travel, and we would go either to a comprehensive school or technology center. Little bit more difficult to go to a skill centers now. We have done that in the past, but we will make sure that we have board meetings at other locations so that you can be out in the schools and frontline with them. So any other announcements or questions?
I have to brag on one thing. I may have clued y'all in on the deal called the FISTA from Lawton that was originated through the leadership of Great Plains CareerTech. The FISTA has become an authority, so it's not a task force, it's now a city authority. And the city of Lawton on January 4th closed on the purchase of Central Mall. So that is now the FISTA Park. And so CareerTech was the leadership that made that happen. So we have to brag on ourselves and our CareerTechs. That's a big deal, and it never would have happened had not the leadership at Great Plains said, hey, we're willing to take a little bit of a risk, put together the task force that legitimized what was happening. And so now our community owns its own mall, and the FISTA is for real. So,
Fantastic.
Good deal.
That's great.
Congratulations.
Wow. yeah,
That's great.
and y'all need to come down and see it.
Yeah,
there you go.
spend
Perfect.
money.
Any other announcements?
I do have a question
Yeah.
of the Centers for Excellence. That might be a topic for an agenda at sometime of just an update of how that's going. I mean, I know that ones that have been announced, but more in the lines of next steps or how it's going and what you think the feedback, if that's appropriate for a board meeting, that would be
Absolutely.
of
We-
interest to
We
me.
can add that. Pioneer Tech is actually one of the driving forces for one of the already recognized centers of workforce excellence. And we do have another technology center who chose to be lead in that as well. But we can have some of our other partners give an update of where we're at with Center of Excellence and how we're going to move that forward.
Dr. Mack, I think Duncan was another center of excellence. wasn't it?
Duncan is, Red River's one of the partners, their economic development group. Mr. Rogo is the lead convener in that, but two of them, the convener is the technology center. So very excited. They are, and our K-12 programs are right at the table with them. So it's
And that may be the type, whatever you think is the
Okay.
appropriate type of update, but
perfect. We can do that, yes. Any other announcements? If there's no other announcements, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move for approval.
second.
I have a motion from Mr. Berg, and I have a dual second from Ms. Hernandez and Ms. Smith. Any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck?
Yes.
Mr. Berg?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you guys very much for being in Stillwater. For any of you who would like to view the trailer, it is just right outside here. Greg is out there waiting to talk all about the great things that are out there.
Can we leave this in here?
Yes, if you want to just leave it on your table where it's at,